Yeah, I'm sort of skeptical about a lot of the data you get out of those Fitbit type machines. They're incredibly inaccurate. So I think that's a major villain, if you like. I think it is largely because we're eating so much junk food, ultra-processed food. It's because you're moving vertically up and down. You get these big surges in blood to the brain.
Because it means that all that glute training that I do in the gym is paying off, not just in terms of aesthetics, but in terms of my brain as well.
You get more bang for your buck with the squat. I see people standing on escalators going down. I think, really, this is the minimum amount of effort you could make. You could walk down a set of escalators. Sadly, our built environment is created such a way as to encourage us to do as little as possible. We have made it too easy. Just crazily out. I mean, wildly inaccurate. They look at it and go, oh my God, I did not get enough deep sleep. I did not get enough REM sleep.
Where's my crown?
Exactly. And sometimes you just got to go, how do I feel?
Can you explain, like, with insulin sensitivity? Because I think everyone now, is very familiar with like controlling blood glucose. Certainly, my audience listening to this will be, and they often are wearing continuous blood glucose monitors to measure it and to see. And actually, people are now sort of obsessing with keeping that blood glucose within a very tight range. But then we also have insulin sensitivity and devices like Lumen, for example, that people know about, that show you, are you burning carbs or fats, what's actually going into the cells, which is also a useful kind of understanding that people can have. If you have good insulin sensitivity, is it risky to be spiking your blood glucose? For example, you've been for a workout, you now come back and you load up with some carbohydrates. How important do you think it is that we actually control that range? Obviously, if we're constantly spiking it, we'll be reducing, right? We'll be developing insulin resistance over the long term. But I think it's just helpful for people to really understand the difference.
Sure. So the thing about insulin, which I'm sure you and your listeners probably already know, is essentially it's a response to an increase in your blood sugar levels. So pancreas releases insulin, that brings your blood sugars down. And what your insulin does is primarily it stops fat burning. It takes that sugar and it stuffs it into cells. That's its main role. Other things like stress, cortisol, and things like that will also lead to a spike in insulin. So what you want to be doing is producing as little insulin as possible, but enough to actually do its role. And that's what insulin sensitivity is all about. Insulin resistance, which is the bad thing, is essentially your body, because it's been constantly exposed to big blood sugar spikes, has to keep on pumping out more and more insulin until the point where you develop type 2 diabetes and your pancreas packs up. That's kind of the problem. So in terms of spikes, ideally, as you say, you don't want to get lots of spikes, but to be honest, it doesn't matter that much. And your body is very, very good at regulating your blood sugar levels. The main thing is as they go up, do they come down pretty fast? And that's the best measure, because that's a sign that your body is responding to the blood sugar spike because you've had a big carby meal or a big carby load after a workout, and your body has gone, right, got to deal with this, bring it down. And that is exactly what your body's supposed to do. And if it's doing that efficiently and well, then you have nothing much to worry about. Concern comes obviously when it's not doing that, when your blood sugars stay high, when you have a meal and you have a persistently high level. I love those blood glucose meters. I also wear them occasionally. I use them mainly for interesting which foods I respond to, which I don't. And my wife Claire, who's very different physiologically to me, in the sense that she can eat pretty much what she wants. She's been slim all her life. I tend to fat because that's kind of how my father was, and she responds really quite differently to the same foods, whether it is rice, bananas, whatever. I respond quite aggressively to sugary foods. Doesn't stop me eating them, but it's not a good thing. But if you actually want to kind of measure your overall blood sugar control, you're better off doing something called HbA1c test, which is a kind of measure of how your blood sugar control has been over the last few weeks or months. And that is a kind of more reliable measure. But I wouldn't worry too much about a few spikes, particularly if they come down fast. The only thing I'd say is eating late at night is probably a pretty bad thing, because when I did an experiment where I did that, I had exactly the same meal for breakfast, and then the evening it was a sort of big fry up. And in the morning, blood sugars, blood fat shot up, shot down. In the evening, they shot up and stayed up, because
interesting.
My body was not, basically everything had closed down for the night. It's like going to a restaurant and saying, give me a meal. And the waiter's saying, not sure about that. And then they get grumpy and the whole process is very slow. So yeah, no, eating late at night is stupendously bad for you. There's lots and lots of research which points out that. So I don't know why the Spanish and Italians do it, but yeah, they do it.
Yeah, and seem to be okay. So when you had that meal, because I'm like you, I have like a family history of type 2 diabetes and I have PCOS. So for me, it's constantly like, it takes work, right, to manage blood sugar. When you had that late meal, was it very, very close to bedtime? Was it late in the evening or?
Yeah, so it was, I did one at 10 in the morning and then the other was 10 in the evening. So I'd fasted the night before and then it was 10 in the evening. So it was pretty late, but not crazily late. And the problem is your whole circadian rhythm, your body clock, everything is basically going, oh, time to close down for the night, time to shut down. And it's not really ready to digest loads of food. Plus, you're not going to do anything in the way of activity after you've done it. So at least in the morning, you eat it, you go out for a walk, you go out for a run, you just kind of pootle around the house, you do something. Whereas if you have it late at night, you're going to be going to bed in about an hour's time. And then you're just going to be lying there. And that big load of food, which is sitting in your gut, is probably not going to help your sleep. And it's going to hang around and the fat is going to hang around and sugar is going to hang around. So yeah, it's pretty clear.